Hi, I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today I'm recording on Gadigal land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house, and I'm here to share it all with you. From the wins, the mistakes, the challenging times, and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business yourself, perhaps you're not in the game at all, maybe you're looking for some inspo, or you just simply want to hear the tea, this is the podcast for you. Coming up on today's episode, we are going to be deep diving into JeansWest shutting down. And if you haven't heard, they're shutting the whole thing down. And they are a dinosaur brand which has been around for a really long time. That's what you call brands that have been around for a really long time.
It just sounds like you're calling them old and like decrepit.
We're going to be discussing it, and also I'm going to share some of my thoughts and some of my fears around potentially finding myself in this same position one day, because it's a harsh reality. Businesses are going to end one day, and that's just a scary reality that we deal with. And before I jump into today's episode, I just want to do a little reminder, and you're going to get sick of me. You're going to be sick of me. But just in case you didn't hear like my last bonus episode or see anything that I've posted on Instagram in the last week or so, I have a book. I have written a book. I'm an author. And my book is available for pre-order right now. Xander's going to leave a link in the show notes. It's on Booktopia. If you love everything I do here on the pod, you will love my book. So I just thought I would give my book one more little shout out, but let's just jump straight into today's episode. Well, Xander, did you know that approximately 60% of Australian businesses fail within their first 3 years, with many failing in the first year?
I actually did know that because I did business studies in high school. And
so did I. I did business studies too.
I hated it.
I loved it. Did you have to make up like a pretend business and have like a business plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what was mine? I think at the time I still wanted to be a dance teacher.
Okay.
And so I think it was a dance school. That was my business.
I don't remember what mine was, but it makes me wish that I still had like all my old school stuff.
Because it's lost on the old house computer somewhere.
Yeah, imagine if I'd done a clothing label. I feel like I could have, like now that I think about it. Anyway, for those of you that didn't know that fact, 60% of all Australian businesses fail within their first 3 years. That is a very alarming statistic. In financial year 2023 to 2024, there were 436,000 business entries and 362,000 exits.
That's like almost all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So JeansWest, which we all know, it has been around for a really long time, they have announced that they are going into administration and closing all of their physical retail stores. And the shutting down of their physical retail chain will impact 600 employees across 90 stores. It's saying here that the business will still operate online.
I have a lot of questions around this, and I brought a few of them up to you before we even started.
Mm-hmm.
But from someone, I'm not in business, so and you've mentioned that they would have had leases for the 90 stores still ongoing from a couple of years ago. But like in my head, 4 or 5 years ago, they knew they were in trouble.
Yeah.
They knew they were in big trouble.
In COVID times.
Yes.
They went into administration back in 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I think a parent company came in.
Yeah, took over,
and then it's happened again.
Yeah. Why, with 90 stores across Australia, and you're in what it seems like some crippling financial struggles, why would you not close down a large majority of those stores to save costs and then move a lot of your business online?
You'd think that that's what they would do.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not in any kind of position to be giving advice on what they should have done.
But that's where my mind goes.
Me too. Like the only thing I can think of is how difficult it would be to get out of so many leases. And in my experience, all of our commercial retail leases that we sign are 5 years long.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because JeansWest is so big and they've been around for so long and they've had stores for so long, I wonder if they're in 10 or 15 or 20-year leases.
Because there is a JeansWest store in almost every like major shopping centre you go to.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
But I also think, I don't know a single person that's ever shopped at JeansWest.
No, I haven't.
I don't know anyone that's ever shopped at JeansWest, and there's so much that I could say here because I'm going to get into it, like what I would do if I was JeansWest. But my only thought is, like, with 90 stores, like, I can only imagine how expensive it would be for them to shut them, because when you're breaking that lease, you've got to pay it out.
Yeah, does that depend on the contract you're in?
Yeah, and again, I can't speak for them because who knows what their leases say, who knows how long their leases are, but I could only imagine they're probably longer and bigger than my little leases that I've got.
Yeah.
But it's so expensive to break a lease, like a regular lease, let alone a retail one. Like, I can't even begin to imagine. And I'm going to guess, like, maybe that's why they haven't made the decision to shut them. But I mean, they've made the decision now.
From your perspective, obviously Fate's like nowhere near as big as JeansWest had been.
Yep.
Yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
You know,
I don't know if I could handle that.
You know, right now in the scale that Fate is at, you would be comfortable with the 5-year lease. That's kind of like the standard.
Yeah, but even then, that's a really scary thing to sign.
Totally. But with their scale, JeansWest scale, do you think it would be a common thing to sign a lease that was a lot longer? Do you think that they probably felt safe to do that?
Yeah, potentially. They could have some really long leases in place. And again, I don't know this for sure. But this is the scary thing, and I know we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but signing more and more leases, you're extending the hopeful length of your business journey. So I have all of my leases now for my 5 stores, and the one that will be coming up first would be our Westfield Miranda store.
Yeah.
Because besides our Newcastle one as well, but that's like with our cafe and everything, so that's fine. But I don't know how long we've been at Miranda now, 2 years or maybe a bit more. So that'll be the first lease that is like coming up for either renewal or ending it. And then let's say now, if I go and open another store now, I'm starting the 5-year cycle again, but starting it now. It's not as if though if I open a store now, Miranda and the store I open now will end at the same time. So the more and more that you pile onto your list of leases, like the longer you're dragging your business out, but in hopes that you'll still be operating then, if you know what I mean. And again, when it comes to having leases, you then have to decide at the end, am I going to commit to another 5 years, or do I walk away from the store? So like, for example, our Westfield Miranda store, in about 2 years' time, we'll have to start thinking like, are we going to keep this going? Are we going to commit to another 5 years in Miranda? Because a lot can happen in 5 years. A lot can happen in 5 days in business. And one of the craziest things about business, when it boils down to it, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow in my business journey. Shit could hit the fan overnight tonight and my business could collapse. We could make one bad financial decision and boom, fate could be gone tomorrow. But then you've got these long leases that you're committed to.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the most difficult things to deal with and sign yourself up to. But that's the risk that we take when we open retail stores, is we are confident enough that we can keep that thing going for 5 years.
Yeah. From an outsider's perspective, looking at JeansWest and how they've operated over the years, where do you think they were sitting in terms of how people viewed them as a business now? Do you think that they failed to kind of keep up?
Yes. The reason why JeansWest, I believe, the reason why JeansWest is shutting all their stores is because they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
They haven't done a single thing to keep up with the way that the world and social media has changed.
Has progressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, they're a dinosaur brand that's been around forever. They've done things the same all the time.
And it's worked in the past as well.
It has worked, but it's changed so much now. And it's almost disappointing because at some point there, they would have had the money to change.
Yeah.
And God, like, I wish if I wasn't running Fate, I could go in and go, all right, because at the end of the day, they just need to level up their marketing. They need to switch it up. What is one cool activation or campaign that JeansWest has ever done? I can't think of one.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because JeansWest could be cool. I was even thinking, even the name JeansWest, like I feel like that's such a cool name.
Yeah.
Like when we hear JeansWest, we do think of like old, but God, if they just did like a bit of a rebrand, got a good marketing gun in, even just a really fire social media person,
Yeah.
they could flip that thing on its head.
Like I think back 15 years ago, when I was a teenager, and like I would go into JeansWest and look for a pair of jeans or whatever, a piece of clothing. I would not now. I would never walk into that store thinking I'd find something for me.
That's the other thing as well. They need to realize that retail isn't what it used to be. It's not just hanging clothes and folding them on a table and having foot traffic come in and buy. You've got to create an experience in your stores. And I think that's another part of why they're shutting down all their stores is because their stores are bland. It's
the
not,
styles haven't changed.
It's not an experience. But don't get me wrong, people love jeans. Like jeans is one of our number one selling categories at Fate. People love jeans.
Yeah.
They could have really like made their whole brand about having the best jeans ever. I would love if it wasn't so busy, I would love to go in and try and help JeansWest. Hire me as your brand and marketing coordinator. I would love to flip that thing on its head. And it's just disappointing, you know, and I'm sad for any business that shuts down, but at some point they would have had the funds to fully rebrand and change up their stores, make it an experience, kill it on social media. Like they had the funds, they had the people, they had the resources, but they're just so stuck in their old dinosaur ways that they didn't do anything about it. And I don't know who runs JeansWest, but it's probably like a board of directors that are 70 years old or something, you know. And it's just a prime example of, you know, a brand that's been around forever that just doesn't have it in them to keep up with how much the world and retail and shopping and e-commerce is changing. And that's what I honestly think.
A hypothetical for you.
Yeah.
Say, for example, God forbid, Fate found itself in some financial difficulties.
Yep.
Which meant you needed to scale back to save the business.
Yep.
How would you go about that? What would your first steps be? And I realize this is dependable on how bad it is.
Yeah.
But give us an example of the steps you would take to ensure the business survived.
Firstly, I would obviously speak with our accountant. And we do this often and we always look at and know our numbers, but I'd be chatting with our accountant straight away. I'd be finding out where we're going wrong. I'd be finding out what's making us lose money. Is it the stores? Is it, you know, head office? Like I'd find out where we're losing money. And then sadly, what you would have to do is look at stripping back. So if it was stores, for example, and we weren't making enough money in the stores and the business was going backwards, you'd have to look at shutting some of them down. And we see stores shut down all the time. It's hard to own a store. It is so expensive. Once I knew that, and once I knew what I needed to do, once I knew where I was losing money, I would turn it into a marketing campaign. I have always been so proud of being open and honest with our Fate community, with my community here on Big Business. I would be completely honest and share my journey. I would take it to social media and I would say, this is happening in my business. And this is literally, if this happens, like this is exactly what I'd fucking do. If Fate ever is in that kind of position, I would take it to our community. I would tell them what we're going through and I would talk to them about what we're going to do to try and keep ourselves afloat. And you see, it's so sad, but you know how you see so many businesses, like let's say a local cafe, for example, they're in financial hardship and they go to their Facebook page and you've seen like posts of business owners say it's with heavy hearts that we're closing next weekend. And then you see this uproar of community saying, no, you make the best pies.
Yeah, it's happened for a few places here in Sydney.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the community has
Everyone
rallied.
flocks.
Yeah.
Like when I've seen it a million times. I remember it happened with Yogurtland. But
Oh my God.
did you have Yogurtland or was that just a Newcastle thing?
I'm not really a yogurt boy, so.
So this was before Yochi and everything.
Yeah.
But we had this Yogurtland. I think there was 2 of them
Oh,
in
wait, did they
Newcastle.
shut down in COVID?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been so hard for them.
Yeah. They can't do online.
No, but I remember, them announcing on their Facebook, Yogurtland shutting down in 4 weeks or whatever. And then there was just this uproar of support from the people that love Yogurtland. So I would do the same, but I would do it not a week before we're shutting half the company down. I'd try and let my community know as soon as I could, because like the power of community is like nothing else. And I'd at least just give it a shot and be honest with everyone and say, this is what we're experiencing. This is what we're going to do in hopes to kind of keep this brand going and afloat. I'd ask my community for feedback. Where are we going wrong? What can we improve on? And I'd hear it from them.
I think people wouldn't do that because they probably feel ashamed that a business is failing.
100%.
Yeah.
But like I said at the start of this episode, like 60% of businesses fail in the first 3 years, with most of them failing in the first. I think we've got to lose this sense of like this fear of people thinking that we're a failure, because I think even if you start a business and it lasts for 3 years, let's say, and then you have to shut it down because it's just too hard to keep it going, I think that's something worth being so proud of instead of feeling like you failed at, because you had an idea and you brought it to life and you gave it a go. But we're just so worried about what people would say. And it's not to say if fate ever finds us in that scenario at some stage in my life, of course I'll feel like a failure. But if I'm ever going to go through a really difficult financial stage with fate, I would want my community to know what we're going through, and I would want them to help us to maybe try and pick ourselves up again. And not just shopping with us, but giving us feedback, letting us know what we can improve on or fix or level up to make shopping with us more enjoyable.
Something you just said resonated with me. You said community then. Mm-hmm. Do you think JeansWest has failed to establish their own community?
Yes. JeansWest doesn't have a community. I don't know one person, and again, I might be the different demographic, but I don't know one person that has ever gone and shopped at JeansWest. And I feel as if though people our age, like 30s, 40s, even people in their 20s, like we all love a good pair of jeans.
Bloody oath.
I feel like they've failed to capture that market.
Yeah.
But JeansWest could be so cool. I think JeansWest is such a cool brand name. Like West.
Yeah.
Like it's so
West.
It's so cool. I just feel like they've missed the mark and
Yeah.
they've just been too stuck in their traditional ways, traditional retail. They got to get with the times. Now, on all of this, we've seen a lot of other businesses and brands shut down recently and like over the last year. Elle Fashion has collapsed, and I've got here off Google owing as much as $58 million. 158 stores across Australia and online. They employed 1,600
Oh,
staff.
Elle.
Yeah, Elle.
Oh. I know. I'm not that I've ever shopped there, but I know it.
Elle.
Yeah.
And again, that's been around for ages. Like I used to go there when I was 14 and 15 to
Yeah.
get a $10 dress to wear to the school disco.
It just is so, I'm not in business, but it's so crazy to me that these huge companies are finding themselves in these positions where we're actually just shutting the whole thing down.
Well, I think the other thing as well is this is an example of a brand or a business growing too big.
Yes, and not be
then
able to keep up.
It's out of control.
Yes.
And this is what I'm so mindful of is you can grow a business and it can be booming, stores, bing, bang, bong, stores opening up everywhere. But then it can become just out of control that the whole thing can just collapse, and it's so big beyond you've lost the control that you can't save it because there's too many working parts to it. And my community is always saying open more stores and more stores.
Grow too fast.
Yeah, but I'm so careful with what I do, and people even say slow down. I'm like, come on, I'm managing what we're doing fine. But that's the really scary thing about committing to another 5-year lease on top of another 5-year lease and another one. And all of a sudden you've stretched your business out to maybe the next 10 years in hopes that you're going to make it. And it's just, you've got to be so careful. Like, yeah, you want to grow and be big and successful and more money and more figures.
Yeah, but that initial demand might diminish and then you're stuck here with expenses.
Exactly right. And that's what we've seen with Elle, JeansWest and all these other brands that are going bust. We also had the same with Miller's and Noni B. Again, they've been around for a really, really long time. Like, I remember grannies shopping there when I was little.
Did Rivers shut as well?
We've got Rivers, Bardot, if you remember Bardot.
I remember the girl group.
You better stop, better run away.
Yeah. What's the other one? It is I need somebody. You know that one?
No.
Okay.
I think I only knew the one song.
Oh.
I'll tell you who I love,
Yeah.
Sophie Monk.
I love Sophie
I love
Monk.
Sophie.
Yeah.
Can we get her on here one day
Oh,
for
she's
some...
the best.
Have you met her?
No, I would die. And you know what? She always, every time she does, she did it on the bloody Uber Eats ads. She put down her pop album she released, and it infuriates me because her only in one solo album is fucking phenomenal.
I need to listen to it.
She always puts it down. I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. It is amazing. Sorry, this is a business podcast, not a music podcast.
Love
Back
you,
on
Sophie
track.
Monk.
Yeah.
There was also Sanity music stores. How devastating for them.
I know, but like understandable.
But imagine the guy that created Sanity and then Spotify comes out.
Because at the time you're thinking, oh, well, no one's ever going to stop buying music.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold.
So in 2023, Sanity announced that they were closing all of their remaining 50 physical stores.
Do you know what I would have done if I was them?
What?
I would have completely shifted to a vinyl business.
Oh, yeah, because vinyls are cool.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's all in hindsight because...
And also, like, these brands that have been around forever, like Sanity, JeansWest, I mean, they've probably had lots and lots of owners. Like, it's not just owned by one person that's running the whole thing.
Yeah.
But when you've been around for that long, you're probably just fucking done with it.
Yeah.
And if you've gone through that much hardship that you just don't...
And you're already in trouble.
Yeah, you don't have it in you to go, all right, let's rebrand and, like, change it all up. There's so many things to consider. I think one of the scariest things about reading this, and my friend Tara, who owns Proud Poppy, who we've had on the pod already, if you want to listen to that episode from a little while ago, she shared something on her story the other day saying, oh, JeansWest is shutting down and I'm just opening my next store next week. Like, it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be super confident and think, oh, that's never going to happen to me. But the reality of it is one day my business is going to shut down because, again, most businesses don't even make it through the first 3 years. What businesses, especially solo-owned businesses, make it for a lifetime?
It's actually hard to think of a lot of businesses who expand more than one store.
Yeah.
Think of all the cafes you go to.
Oh,
a lot of them, there's not multiple.
Yeah. Solo-owned businesses, I feel like it's rare to see. And by that, I mean, like me, for example, I just own Fate. There's no investors. There's no board of directors. If you were to, or if I were to have someone come in and take most of Fate off me and have a board of directors and get money injected into it, maybe Fate would last longer than just me on my own doing it, because I'm just obviously figuring out how to keep it afloat all on my own with AJ. But it's a harsh and scary reality. And I haven't thought about it a lot, but I have more recently with all these stores closing down. One day Fate is going to end, and it's going to end in my lifetime. But
it might not.
But what are the fucking odds?
You are right.
Like,
the
if you
odds are
yeah,
that it is. Yeah.
But I will obviously always be optimistic and hope that I can make Fate last till the end of my life. But that would be a success story that no one's ever fucking heard of. Like a young girl just starting this clothing brand and she makes it last her whole life. And it's just one of those things like that you stop and think of and go, holy shit, like Fate's going to end one day. And this is why you see so many business owners grow their company to a certain point and then they sell it, because a lot of people see it as you're better to build something up and sell it and walk away with heaps of money so that you don't have to worry about being there for its downfall. Let someone else deal with the downfall. That's why people sell businesses, because they walk away at the peak, they get all their money, and who cares about the rest? Who cares what happens after that? And I don't know if I'm ever going to do that, or if I'm just going to see it out right until the end.
For something that you've built from the ground up,
yeah,
it would be hard to envision, would I actually sell it, or would I actually be the one to
close it down?
To close it.
And that would be devastating. I know we had Christian Hull on the pod and he talked to us about closing down his business, but I would love to get someone on here who has had a business for a long time, maybe someone who has had retail as well, and talk to them about what that was like, because it would be bittersweet to watch your business end, but it would also be devastating.
Yeah.
So I get why people sell their businesses and walk away, because then you can just be like, yay! And then you just forget about it. And it's just weird to think, like, one day I'm going to have to make one of those two decisions, selling Fate to someone else or just watching it fail. And that's fucked up to think, but that's the truth. But then I think what it all boils back to at the end of the day is we need to be starting businesses and running businesses to enjoy every moment of the journey, not for the exit. And a lot of other people will tell you otherwise. Nah, it's all about the exit strategy and getting out when it's at its peak and making the most amount of money. But I don't know about that for me. I think I would want to ride the wave right until the very end. And when is that going to be? Who knows? That's the beauty of business and the game is I am not guaranteed tomorrow with Fate. It could all crumble overnight, just with one bad mistake. It could be next year. It could be in 3 years when all of our stores' leases are coming to an end. It could be in 20 years. I have no idea what the future holds for Fate. I can make projections based off how we're going at the moment, but also the world changes. Shit happens. So it's just a really eye-opening thing to think about. And I won't lie, it is scary seeing all of these retailers that have been around for a long time shutting down. And if anything, I think it's a reminder to me and other business owners out there, especially if you are in retail, how can we make our experience different and how can we keep ourselves afloat? You actually shared something with me the other day that I thought I would end on about AI.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You shared it with me on TikTok and it had me thinking with how much AI is taking over and how everything is becoming artificial, from images to videos, email marketing that we get from brands. It's all becoming so AI and, you know, it's getting to the point where now there's so much fake stuff out there that you don't know what's real and what isn't. And you shared this video with me that said with the rise of AI and everything being fake, this person thinks that in-person experiences are going to become more popular.
Yeah.
Because with everything being fake on the internet, people are going to lose their trust.
You're not going to believe it.
Then you're not going to believe it. You're not going to want to shop with every brand that's emailing you because everything just seems fake.
Yeah.
And people,
I already feel that way. A lot of the time, if I'm being sold to online, I'm like, I actually want to speak to a person because I don't quite trust what I'm reading or what I'm saying.
So maybe, hopefully, it could be a good thing with the rise of AI and everything being fake online. Maybe people will be seeking that in-person connection more and taking it back to the roots of retail. And so maybe that's when brands like myself and other retail business owners can step up and be the one there to offer that in-person service. And we can pivot and make it amazing so that people can escape the crazy online AI world and come in store and just have a good old-fashioned shop. So that's that for you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Big Business. Please rate me 5 stars if you haven't already. And I thought I would also do a reminder that I have written a book. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see I'm not shutting up about it at the moment, but I just thought I would do a reminder again. Xander will leave a link to Booktopia in the show notes, or you can literally just jump on the Booktopia website. I'm pretty sure there's a banner of me there. You can type in my name. Please pre-order my book. If you love my podcast, you will love reading my book. Or if you know someone that's at the start of their business journey, or maybe they're even just thinking of starting a business or pursuing something on their own, I feel like my book would be a great gift to give to someone who's looking for some inspiration. As always, I'm going to wrap up today's episode with a tip of the week. And you know what my tip of the week is going to be? Completely different to the theme of today's episode. And it's actually a tip that the Interview Boss Girls said when they were here on my pod. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, or if it is a quote that I could actually directly quote from someone. Maybe we can try and search it up online. But it's a tip for everyone that is employed. So it's not a tip for business owners. And the tip is, when she said it, it stuck with me. When you're employed anywhere, especially if it's somewhere where you're wanting to build a career and kind of grow with the company, she said there's always going to be a group of people talking about you and your career in another room. Make sure that at least one person in that room is going to be the one that is vouching for you and is on your team. And I feel like that is just such a powerful piece of advice, because as the person that's in the other room, that is so true. Like your managers, your bosses, your HR, your CEOs, they're always going to be talking about you and how you're doing at work and the things that you're maybe doing really right, or the things that you're doing really wrong, or the behaviors that you're maybe participating in. There's always going to be someone that's talking about you and your career when you're not in the room. So be mindful of that and do everything in your power to make sure if you love your job and you want to grow, make sure that someone in that room is going to be on your team and be the one rooting for you, saying, yes, we should promote this person. Yes, we should give this person a pay rise. Because it's just something I guess employees wouldn't think of. And when the Interview Boss Girls said that to me, I was like, oh yeah, that's a fucking good one. That is so true. So be mindful, all you employees out there, and always remember that. Anyway, I better head off, but thanks for listening. And remember to make sure you chase after your dreams as if they owe you money.